So how would it help you when you're looking for a job? So let's say you have been working now. So this now gets down, we saw how message and narrative are so important even in politics, but it applies just as well when you're looking for a job. So let's say you've been working since high school and you have provided customer experience. You realize that customer experience is how companies win today, because it's hard to differentiate one company from another. They have access to the same technology, they train people, but whoever provides the best customer experience usually wins. Like Amazon, Apple, they provide excellent customer experience. So let's say you have years and years of delivering customer experience, and then you post blogs, blog posts, you write about it, you record videos, you do LinkedIn posts. So you're developing some credibility around customer experience. Now you need a narrative and you need a message. So how would you do that? So your message would be, I deliver, so let's say you're interviewing. You go to a company, this should be on your resume. I deliver excellent customer experience. That's your message. Your narrative could be, now one thing about narrative is, let me make this clear. Narrative, people think of it as like a story. Yes and no. Narrative is like cherry picking. See, story is not, it's because in literature, they don't really distinguish between a narrative and a story. Narrative is the story that you want to create that will resonate with the person you're talking to. Okay, that's the message, and the narrative has to support that message. So let's say if you go and say, I deliver excellent customer experience. So let's say if I was interviewing with you, and I say, I deliver excellent customer experience. You know, I started when I was working at McDonald's. There I realized that there all I had to do was smile, fulfill the order, and just say, thank you, and please come again, and smile. And I realized that, you know, some of those people started coming again. And then I went to the next job. I took a job at Nordstrom, where I really learned about what good customer experience is all about. So as you can see, I'm building a narrative now. So suddenly, it's starting to make sense. Hey, you know, he's not only talking the talk, but he can walk the walk. And now, everything I say is going to be supporting that. It's not going to be inconsistent. So one of the things I've done in the handout is you have to practice your message and then create a narrative. And you got to practice it. You got to practice it at home. First, you have to practice this on your own. Then practice it with your loved ones. You know, if you have a pet, practice it with the pet. You know, they always get positive feedback. So practice this, because you got to get comfortable with it. And if you're not saying it, then they're not going to ever hear it. So message and narrative is something that you got to just be on autopilot and just say, this is my message and here's my narrative. And the more you do it, the more natural you'll become. And this is constant practice. This requires constant practice. So for example, on the first slide, if you saw it, my message was that I help people thrive on high-stakes stage. That's my message. And my narrative would be that when I took my first job in 1983 at Bell & Howell, I even remember, it was a September, it was actually about this time, and I had an opportunity to give an engineering status report 1 month into the job. And nothing came out of my mouth when my name was called. I completely froze. Now that narrative works if there is it's leading towards something that now I'm a public speaker. So I started out when my first opportunity to give a high-stakes talk, or a speech, it wasn't even a talk, it was just something, just reading a status report that I wrote, and I couldn't even deliver it. And then I just became a techie because I didn't want to deal with customers. Then one day, I happened to attend a Toastmasters meeting, and I said, you know, I got to do this. I got to remove this fear that I have in getting in front of people and giving a talk. And I became a competent Toastmaster, and from there I got enough confidence. I moved from being a techie to being a sales consultant, where I actually dealt with customers. And then from there I went into sales, and then I became a business coach. And now I consider myself a public speaker. So you see there's a narrative there that starts making sense. So that when I say I help people thrive on high-stakes stage, you tend to believe it. Like, yeah, he's got a narrative that supports that. So just giving you an example, that would be my narrative. I want you to think about it. You have to come up with that narrative. Because when you are interviewing, they want to really understand your story. They don't need to understand your life story. They need to understand your message and the narrative that supports that. Because without a message and a narrative, the rest of the stuff, there's no foundation.